I know it's hard to believe, but we're fast approaching the end of 2022 already. The holiday season's soon going to be here, which traditionally means a slowdown in the housing market. But what about inflation and the economy and the Fed's attempt to cool the housing market with the ever-changing interest rates and all the news we keep hearing about the impending doom in the national housing market? What does it all mean for us right here in our own backyard? Hi, I'm Greg Davis with Greg Davis Real Estate, powered by Vanguard Realty Alliance LLC, and you've probably been following my market updates, so hopefully you have an idea about where our local market is versus what you're hearing on the news. In any case, just keep in mind that real estate is hyper-local and can even vary from subdivision to subdivision, but also know that right here in Chester County and Delaware County in particular, we're buffered from what's going on in other areas across the country. So let's take a look at what happened in the Westchester, Kennett, Downingtown, and Unionville-Chadford area school districts for the month of October. But before I jump into the graphs and the data, just a quick reminder as always that I've excluded new construction data and that we're only looking at numbers on existing housing stock because that's the primary segment of our market right now. Let's start with closed sales. Last month we had 182 closed sales, which is down for the fourth consecutive month in a row from the high back in June and the lowest volume we've had since March. Next, let's take a look at inventory and the median number of days a home is on the market before going under contract. If you look at the red line, you can see that the median number of days on market was 7 for the second consecutive month in a row. However, it's not a significant jump from the previously steady 5 to 6 days we had from January through August of this year, so we're still showing solid buyer demand. Now looking at the blue line, you can see that inventory has slightly increased, but it's still hanging out at just over a month's worth of inventory. Despite the slight uptick in days on market shown by the red line, the blue line indicates that we still have significantly low inventory, and perhaps more importantly, the numbers don't appear to indicate any significant change out of a seller's market and into a buyer's market yet, but it is something that I'll be watching closely over time. So what about the trend in median list price versus the median sales price for homes that sold in our market this year so far? Well, things get a little bit more interesting here. As you can see, for the month of October, we had a median list price of $500,000 and a median sales price of $518,750. But the first thing to note here on this graph is the relatively steady climb in sales price all year until a jump of almost 12.4% in June. This was followed by a drop of almost 8.5% in July, and then there was a slight rally in August and a gentle decline in September and October. Now let's take a look at median list price to actual sales price. While this graph shows a less aggressive roller coaster ride than the last graph, what I am seeing here is definitely interesting. What I want you to note here is the significant drop we're seeing from the high watermark in June and the relatively steady 100% we've seen since August, which I'll get into in a minute. So it's the age-old question, what does it all really mean and how does it affect me? Well, I hate to sound like a broken record, but here in the Westchester, Kennett, Downingtown, and Unionville-Chadford area school districts, not a lot has actually changed. Overall, what remains constant is we still have relatively low inventory and we still have relatively strong buyer demand. On the other hand, our local market is definitely showing signs of a softening from a listing and sales price perspective. I expect inventory and closed sales to remain low based on market conditions, but also understand that the market tends to slow down during the holidays as well. So the things I'm keeping an eye on in particular are the trends related to list price versus sales price, both as numbers and as a percentage. I'm also interested to see how the elections this month may or may not impact things like consumer sentiment and the market, and of course I'll continue to keep an eye on what the Fed does with interest rates and how that all translates to drive inventory, list prices, and sale prices. One key thing I'm noticing is that there's a lot more price decreases on homes, and in my opinion, these price decreases are why we're starting to see homes being sold at 100% of list price instead of the 120 to 130% of list price numbers we were seeing from January through July. For my sellers out there, if you're thinking of selling, now is still a good time with consistently low inventory and still solid sales prices. However, with the trend I'm starting to see and the fears about rising interest rates, now's probably a better time than later to list your home for sale. The best piece of advice I can give you right now is just how important it is to price your home right for the current market. The market's definitely shifting, so don't freak out and immediately drop the price if you're not under contract in the first week. You see, most people don't realize just how important it is to allow the home to get sufficient market exposure. If you don't, and you jump on the first offer after only 1 or 2 days in the market, you're probably going to miss a better opportunity. Good quality homes are still selling relatively quickly, assuming it's priced right, and you're still likely to get multiple offers. Just make sure that you hire an agent that has proven experience with digital marketing to make sure your home is being exposed to the masses to get you the most offers, which leads to getting the best price and terms for your home. For my buyers out there, yes, inventory is still tight, but as I said last month, the good news is that the competition is far less intense than earlier this year, which means we can negotiate a better offer with sellers, with homes being on the market just a little bit longer and generally fewer offers coming to the table. So the key here is to hire an experienced agent with great negotiating skills that's going to represent you. Buying or selling a home is a big decision, and as your trusted professional, it's not something that I take lightly. Even if you've gone through the process before, things are constantly changing, and it's normal to be a little scared and have a lot of questions, and you know what? That's okay. That's why it's so important to choose the right agent that you can trust and rely on to stand firmly beside you and guide you through the entire process. If you've seen my video about my core values, then you know that my passion is actually helping other people. So many different people ask me about real estate and what to do in this market, and I truly enjoy helping everyone. Everyone's situation is unique, so just give me a call and let's set up a time and sit down and have a no-pressure strategy session to address all your questions and all your concerns and to review some options together. I'm Greg Davis, your personal compass guiding you to that special place you'll want to call home, and I look forward to guiding you through your selling and buying journey. I love where I live and I want you to love it too.